All right. Welcome to Halitics. I'm Hal Ginsberg. So glad to be with you today on holiday week, and so glad to be sharing the screen with Carlos Childs. Hey, Carlos, how are you today?
What's up? What's up? Hal? Always glad to be here with you. This is 2 in a row, and I'm excited and I'm loving it. How about you? How's things been?
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing. And one of the things, this isn't like a compliment to you per se, but I like doing the shows with other folks because it does take a little burden, right? I mean, when you do it all yourself, and you know this from the Left-Handed Leftist, it's a challenge to go for an hour or more, just you and nobody else.
Those monologues be kind of running. They be droning on sometimes. I'm like, okay, what else can I say? Like, I need to say something different that I haven't said already.
It's tough.
And yours
and
is
nobody drones
harder.
like I do. I'm the ultimate droner. But it's always
yours is harder because you do it live too. So you're doing it minute by minute, second by second. So like any kind of hesitation is just dead space. And look, again, shout out to you. I remember this when you taught me about holding those like meetings and doing the big presentations. You do not want dead space.
Yeah, that's tough when you have the quiet time and hemming and hawing, which I certainly do, and we all do that. You definitely see that with the podcasts of even guys and gals with really big audiences. But I think that's something I've been told by some of my audience, Carlos, is they like it's not exactly an amateur feel, but it's not the polished CNN vibe either. And I think a lot of people appreciate that in what we do.
More realistic, more like a regular person's doing it, not like an AI generated. Hey, here's the talking points of today. ...
Or just not as slick, right? It's not like the whole I don't know which group think or the what do they call where they got the focus group, right? Focus group tested. We're not doing that here. And so that is, I think, a plus. If you want to join us, 240-242-5646, 240-242-5646. Carlos, I didn't ask you this off air. I probably should have, but are you going are you going to be with your family for the holiday? Your mom is
we're doing my family, my mom's father's side. So my grandfather on my mom's side. We're all going out to my cousin's house. They're the big ritzy cousins of ours. So they got the big house with all the big rooms and they actually are taking care of all the food too. They were like, nobody has to bring anything, just come and enjoy. And I'm like, oh great, we will be there. No questions asked, nothing. We may just bring over like a bottle of wine or some side dish or something. But
so wait, I was going to say, because you're a trained chef. We talked about that. So don't they expect you to bring some? Okay.
No, not this side of the family. This is the whoever hosts it. They take care of everything and just tell people bring a bottle of wine, bring whatever you like to drink, and then show up. So that works perfect. Now my other side of the family, I'd be bringing something. On my grandmother's side, I'd be bringing a dish, and then we all kind of get together. We mostly do that around like Christmas time. We do my grandmother's side on Christmas time and my grandfather's side on Thanksgiving, and we sometimes switch them up depending on how things are working out or where family is and all that. But what about you? What do you all have planned?
Yeah, so we're going to go up to my sister's in New Rochelle, New York. Ooh. So it's quite a drive, even in the best of times. So we're going to try to leave very, very late tomorrow night, maybe 8-9 p.m. That's not very late, but by the time we get up there, it'll be in the early morning. But the traffic is so bad, and so we're trying to avoid that. And my wife loves to bake. She would say she doesn't, but she's going to be baking pies, and we have 17 folks, so 2 turkeys, and we're going to prep a turkey and bring it with us as well.
You're doing a turkey and what kind of pie?
So, pecan chocolate pie, which is unbelievably good. Got some bourbon in there too, Carlos. So really special. And apple pie.
Oh, okay. I love me an apple pie. Apple pie.
My sister's baking a cake, and I don't know if there's going to be a third pie plus the cake. But again, 17 people, and we like to have leftovers. Everyone wants the leftovers, so you don't have to cook for a few more days afterwards. So
our family started doing buying those like to-go containers because everyone gets a little stingy with their Tupperware and be like, all right, cool, I can give this to you, but we got to figure out a schedule to come get it back or something. So now it's like, here's some of those to-go containers, just take it and keep it, who cares?
Yeah, that's always a good call too. And actually, what we do, I don't know if you, but when we get Chinese takeout, or it's usually Chinese, it doesn't have to be Chinese.
Keep that
It comes in.
washed
Yeah,
out.
you always keep those. Yeah, you got to. Yeah. Well, it's
No,
better than recycling or throwing out, and then you have to buy something else. So you might as well.
How we are saving the environment. That's what we're doing. We're really we're part of that little symbol on the back, the whole reuse, renew, and recycle products. That's what we're doing.
You definitely want to reduce, reuse,
and recycle.
Recycle.
You're right.
We've actually when we had so many of those, and it is from this relatively near Chinese restaurant, we would bring some back to them in hopes that they would use them, and they're like, "Oh, thank you," and then I think they just threw them right in the trash.
Because they're like, I don't know,
they're not going to reuse those.
Y'all are like, y'all could be crazy or did something. The trash.
Exactly right. And then they've got scratches. They don't want to give them to people. There's a little notch or something from whatever where it fell or broke or something. So, but yeah, it is good to use it yourself. You always want to do that. So here's my question. This is the thumbnail I did there, praying for a stress-free holiday. Do you expect that? I mean, I export stress, but both of us super lefties. Obviously, we're going to have family members in both of our families who don't quite share our views, although my family's pretty far to the left. But do you find that as a problem, any political stress issues?
Not really. All my family is the majority of my families are like, your mainstream Black Democrats. They, go along with get along. Whenever we do talk politics and I bring up like issues with the Democratic Party, they're all in agreement mostly of like, yeah, the Democratic Party's bad. Their just main thing is like, we only have two options, so I choose the lesser of two evils. So we just have those type of conversations. But if we ever talk like policy or something, mostly they're kind of in favor of like lefty policies. They have those same. I'm trying to break my family out, and more so my mother's side than my grandfather, or my grandmother's side than my grandfather's side. But my grandmother's side, trying to break them out of that thing when we talk about universal health care or like free college, of like, well, who's going to pay for it? I'm like, well, who pays for the wars? Who pays for all that? And they're like, yeah, sure, whatever. But other than that, we don't have.
When you talk about the lesser two evils, and they're saying, oh yeah, well, we got to support Wes more. I mean, I can just see you start to gnash your teeth, right? I mean, I can't believe that goes over so well with you, even if they're like, yeah, he's not that great and he should do family. This, but we got to support him. I would, knowing you, but see, you control it, right? Because I lose my S, and then, and I'm really I'm 62 and I still can't. People start telling me about Hillary Clinton. I'm like how they had to support her. She's had to go through so much. She suffered so much as the first, she's been under so much attack. And I just don't want to hear it. But you don't react to that, do you? How do you keep it in check?
Because they're my family and I always know like what's coming. So I expect it. But also like it has its good parts too, because like Hillary Clinton, they'll all say, oh no, she's horrible. She's horrible. Worst candidate we ever had. Did you vote for her? Yeah, I vote for her because there was no one else, but she's a horrible candidate. So it's like, I understand that in their mind, it's only these two parties. So it kind of makes it easier to be like, all right, cool. I understand why your views are not my political cup of tea. But when we talk about like, I think why it goes over so well too is that we agree on like majority of the Democratic Party of like, they are bad, they're weak, they don't do anything. It's just where they lose me at is but I still have to vote for them. Like if we had a conversation about Wes Moore, they would agree he hasn't really done anything. They don't really know what he stands for. They feel like he's not strong on like either immigration stuff or like policing stuff or things like that. But then at the end of the day, they'll say, but it's between him and a Republican for governor, and I'm voting for him for governor. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I understand that. And I don't think they have really many options. For president, though, that's a bigger conversation.
Well, there's an option, though, but let me interrupt, because we have our good friend Andy Ellis is going to be running against Wes Moore. So
You're right. I need, and I've been kind of putting this off, and that's my fault. I need to schedule a time to have Andy and his lieutenant governor candidate. I'm forgetting his name on the back of my mind.
Owen Silverman.
Yes. Owen Silverman and him on to talk about their race, their platform, what they're doing, their thoughts on how, like, what's their pathway to victory. Because they had a podcast that came out. It's like Go Green Maryland or something. And they were talking about how, like, they have, like, they're redefining what, like, winning is to them. So I definitely want to talk about that and see, like, well, what is winning to them? What do they want out of this?
Yeah, I think they want, 5% of the vote is as I understand it from talking, and I've had Andy on a number of times. I always think he's great. Just realized I was supposed to have Owen on. I guess we never confirmed. I should reach out to him at some point. I like to have them live, right? Andy always comes on live, and Owen was going to record, which is less ideal from my standpoint. So we'll see about that. But I mean, I really have problems with Westmore at this point. And I was looking at that article you shared. We're going to get to it. Carlos, the left-handed leftist. By the way, don't forget, I just realized I don't always have it ready for you, but subscribe now. Yes, please. If you haven't yet done so, we are seeing the growth. We want to continue that. Some of the videos doing really well, others not as much. I got to work on shortening them up, cutting them up into small bite-sized videos, Carlos, because it's clear that that's what viewers want. I know you have the longer left-handed leftist, but you also use the software to reduce the size. I got to do that because it makes it much easier.
Yeah, I try to post at least like one clip a day of the most recent podcast and kind of use that to ramp up people watching and stuff like that. But yeah, it's tedious work, Hal. It's tedious work that we do here. But I will say, does your family have like conservative people, like Republicans or MAGA type? And because we don't have that.
Well, my son is one of my two sons is a Republican.
Still?
He absolutely is.
MAGA or just Republican?
There's some MAGA to it. There's some.
I love
MAGA.
how you said it too. You're like, unfortunately, we're working on
although I'm not, I get this is something that really bothers my family. I'm not sure I find the MAGA brand any worse, right? Or the MAGA style any less unpleasant than the regular Republican style. So like an MTG was sort of MAGA, right, at one point, and she kind of turned out to be the best of them or the least bad of them. So I don't, because and the reason I say this is because there is a little populist element to some of the MAGA, not all, and I get there's a racist and this all that ugly stuff in there, but there's a little bit of a populist to, say, MTG, which was there from early on, which I don't see in the corporatist Ted Cruz, Jeb Bush, or current iteration of Trump, right? They're just pure corporate billionaire shills.
Yeah, it was weird going through Facebook yesterday and seeing some of the people who on my Facebook feed were like super Trumpy people talking about now, like, I don't like how, like, I joined the MAGA movement for like a people-centered blah, blah, blah. And now Trump is just caving to corporations and caving to like Israel and all that. And I'm like, well, thank you for finally joining, like catching up to speed with the rest of the left who's been saying the man just cares about Trump or cares about foreign wars and corporations. But it's good to see this like fracture. But again, every time I see the Republican Party have a fracture in like a civil war within their own base about what policies they follow and all that, it gives me a little despair towards, or it validates my thought on the Democratic Party not being a useful vehicle, because the Democratic Party never really has those fights. Like they have those fights behind closed doors, and then when everyone comes out of the room, they're all on the same page magically and don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I can't bash Republicans who say, well, Trump is worse. He isn't really on our side. I thought he was, but he isn't. I can't say to them, I don't feel like I can say to them, see, I told you so, because I always said, hey, the Democrats are really bad too. And when you say that, we agree. When I talk to MAGA people, whatever, we can agree on how awful the Democrats are. Where we often disagree is on how bad the Republicans. I say, yeah, they're bad too. Let's vote green. But that's a bridge too far for both sides, right? That also, we're not seeing any. That's like why the Zoran thing really frustrates me. We'll get to that. I just want to talk briefly, sort of make it about myself, because we were talking about getting along with others. And, I've always seen this in you, Carlos, is I know your politics are very, very strong. You're totally in the same place I am in terms of left versus right and all that. But you seem to be less, I guess, reactive, because I just can't deal with all of the excuses and the explanations and the justifications and the denial from the center moderate Dem. I just can't take it. And it drives me friggin' crazy. It does make me think of what Dr. King said about what he didn't say the liberal, he said the moderate, but yeah, because they're like, well, or the teeth, right? The wolf shows you the teeth, but
Malcolm X's comment. Yep.
The fox, right? Malcolm X. Did I say it was King? It was.
No, you were right about King. I think did say
beware the white moderate.
Yeah. Yes, and then also Malcolm X said the same thing too, and also used the quote about the wolf and fox's teeth.
Well, you gave me that. You said that last week, so that's how I remember that, because that was from you, Carlos. But it's true, and unless you're committed to taking wealth and power from the wealthy and giving it to poor, struggling working people, I don't even want to talk to you. I don't want to hear about all your complaints about, even the social, oh, well, we're going to lose our right to have an abortion. I'm like, okay, yeah, you are. But that's because you wouldn't champion, poor women in, the inner city or in Appalachia who have have kids and they can't take care of them. And you're not demanding that every child, have health care from cradle to grave. That's sort of my attitude. But that doesn't go over well. But this is what my friend, Hal's friend, this is what they said about me: dogmatic, arrogant, self-righteous, humorless, and smug. And I was like trying to figure out, but that's how, because I said to this friend, hey, tell your other friend, or tell our other friend, three of us, we're friends. I'm hurt that they haven't reached out to me. And I reached out to them, and they, when they were going through rougher times, I was there. I thought for them, but now and so the response is, well, you were putting, they felt that I was putting them down, and I thought I was better than they were. Probably I did. I don't know. Yeah. But I'm almost like, forgive me for being upset about genocide, endless war, people without health care. So I don't know what you do with that, because you don't want to put people off, but these issues are actually life and death.
Yeah, I mean, abortion, healthcare, legal justice, almost, economic. These are all getting at people being able to feed themselves and to take care of their families, to being houseless and on the side of the road and two breaths away from dying. I mean, we are in dire straits in this country. And I'll even say, to your earlier point about abortion, is we can deal with the arguments, because I also hear this from some of my family members too. Well, actually, I have a section of my family who is anti-abortion too. It's very fun. It's very funny conversations that we have.
Is that religious based? Is that religious?
A little bit, but also a little bit of just like their own personal preference of thinking that like abortion isn't something, or yes, it does come from the religious side of like, it is you killing a child, quote unquote, but also it is some of that like kind of just people just need to take personal responsibility and like be a parent. If you lay down to have the kid, then you should be able to take care of the kid. And then that gets us into bigger but then when we talk about how we do not live in a society where people are able to take care of their children, then they agree with that point. They agree, like, yes, we do need better like healthcare for children. We need like better jobs, better pay. But outside of that, they're like, no to the abortion. But my point to that was that you have basically Democrats aren't really fighting for abortion rights. They're more so just fighting to keep Roe v. Wade on the books, which a lot of people even said that is a very conservative way to look at abortion. Like, to me personally, it should be between a woman and her doctor. As long as everyone's consenting and agreeing this is what should happen, I say, like, who am I to say what you
healthcare decision? It's a healthcare decision, and if you had healthcare as a human right, which it should be, then that's the end of the conversation. You're exactly right. You don't need to get now. I shouldn't say that, because I'll be, even me, super progressive initiative, I think there's room for saying, and not that it even ever comes up, but the right often will say, well, what about these like late term, third term abortions? And my attitude on that is, well, look, first of all, if the health of the mother is ever an issue, obviously you have to, or the health of the baby, right? What if it's a baby with some, congenital, condition? They're going to die at a very young age, and their life is going to be miserable. You don't want to put people through that. So I get all that. Maybe you could say if there's not some medical reason to do it once the child is viable, then then abortion should be discouraged, something of that nature. I would not necessarily object to that, but I know a lot of women's rights or health care advocates would disagree, and I understand their view. Mm-hmm. But
everybody has their own little views of it. It's a touchy policy for a lot of people too. But also you could look at the Democratic Party. Democratic Party has not once put forward a pathway to how they plan to bring Roe v. Wade back either. They're just saying we're going to do it. Well, are you going to remove the filibuster to do it? Because if not, you're not getting the other Republican votes. So it's either you just say it or not. But also, if you notice now, Democrats don't even talk about it. That's not even something they're talking about abortion. I think they're in their mind, the abortion's over. They lost that. It's going to be a states' rights type of thing, and your state either has it or doesn't have it.
Carlos, do you think there's any issue that the Democrats really believe in? Like if you say, well, being a Democrat means this on this issue, can you think of one? Because I honestly can't.
I think it is believing in Israel and supporting Israel to the fullest. I think that's it. I think I was gonna say corporate tax cuts, like the same. I think whatever the Republican economic agenda is, just like present it with a smile and make people feel okay a little bit. But outside of Israel and supporting like foreign wars, I can't think of anything, because even I struggle to even say that, oh, the Democratic Party cares about democracy, because they try to frame themselves as they really don't. What they just don't like is Trump. That's it. That's the end of the whole democracy fight. Because if you talk to them about ranked choice voting, they're against it. If you talk to them about the Supreme Court, against it. If you talk to them about mostly even repealing some of the powers that the president has, they only agree with that if it's not their president in office. So I really don't think the Democratic Party leads on anything really,
on
other
anything.
Than just Israel.
And even the Israel, there are Democrats like Rashida Tlaib and
definitely.
Ilhan
I'm talking
Omar
about more the majority of the party.
Yeah, the center, the Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, for sure. There is a little bit of room in the party to object to Israel, but not a whole lot. Remember AOC, right? She was going to vote against the Iron Dome, and then I don't know, Pelosi reduced her to tears. I can't remember what she ultimately did in that situation.
Oh, but she voted present.
She voted present. Yeah.
Yeah. No one has still told us what happened and why she cried either.
It doesn't matter how bad Israel is. They continue to violate the ceasefire. 4 more killed in Gaza. They're not killing as many people as rapidly as I guess the plus to the Trump ceasefire plan, but that's about it. Funerals all across Gaza. Carlos, we're close to 70,000 dead. Yeah, it's that, and that's why that news is the kind of thing that just why I have trouble doing a both sides kind of argument with like my friends. Well, yeah, they're not perfect, but I get why you would support the Democrats, and I have trouble with that because it seems to me some of these policies are so destructive and harmful. But yeah, the Republicans suck. Probably on balance even worse. I'll give you that. They do. The stuff with ICE is let's throw that out there. That is awful. What we're seeing from ICE.
So, yes, what we're seeing from ICE is disgusting. But my thing is this. We also have to like keep in point Obama was deported the most people out of any other president. Right? I mean, like Kamala Harris ran on this anti-immigration agenda supporting the Republican bill. So like I feel like this. Republicans are more upfront in your face about how horrible they are. Like we will devastate your communities. No if and ands or buts about it. Democrats will smile in your face and tell you sweet nothings while also devastating your communities. But I may give you like a nonprofit grant here or there to like kind of lessen the blow.
That's right. That's right.
Or I'll do it quietly. So I'm like, it's pick your poison at this point.
Yeah, we see that, right? Give with one hand, take away with the other. And a lot of the Westmore policies, governor of Maryland, where Carlos and I are both residents, shortly we'll talk about that. But what do you think about this? Is this a sweet nothing from the Anne Arundel County what's it? Executive. The county executive. That's the title. Stuart Pittman apologizing for, I guess, his family's role and the state of Maryland's role in slavery. Let's play. It's very brief. I want your take on this, Carlos. I'm not sure where I come down on it, but I have some ideas, but yours are more pertinent.
I, Stuart L. Pittman, County Executive and Direct Descendant of Anne Arundel County enslavers, do hereby offer an apology on behalf of the government of Anne Arundel County and the people thereof. I've been asked many times how this history affects me, or if it does. Shame is the best word to describe the feeling. Sadness is another. Sometimes there's a flash of anger. What my ancestors did was dehumanization. It was an attempt to remove the human connection between white people and black people. With this acknowledgement of history, we collectively offer our inadequate but deeply felt apology that has for 160 years been withheld, and pledge to never allow this history or this acknowledgement to be forgotten.
All right, so that's from, I guess, the Baltimore Sun. Your reaction?
Let me first start out by just saying, like, what I'm about to say is 100% my opinion. It's on me because I also work within not county government, but my job does a lot of stuff within that county. So this is just me, not my job or anything talking. He kind of said the part that I was thinking where like, this is, and I can't quote him directly, even though I just heard it. It's like, this is inadequate. It's okay, great. It's an apology. What comes with that? Because to me, an apology is nice. I think some people need it. I look at, so what are the policies? What are the actual things that are gonna rectify the situation? And I know there's a lot of people within Annapolis specifically who are part of what's called the historic old Fourth Ward, which were, you know how when you go to the General Assembly, you have like Gott's Garage and where the county council building is and all that, how?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. I'm sorry. I was just, I know.
Good.
There's a lot of garages, but there's one. Yeah.
That garage and those government buildings used to be black people's homes before the government came in decades ago, eminent domained everything and basically said, hey, here's some public housing for you all to move into, and took a lot of black wealth. To me, what would be an actual apology would be rectifying that situation, whether it is through opportunities, whether it's through grants, direct payments, whatever, but rectifying some of the rectifying the problems, not just putting I'm sorry to it. Here's a piece of plaque and here's some like piece of paper with like a nice signature on it from a government employee. There needs to actually be some form of either reparations, repair, atonement, something to actually make a difference and not just words.
Well, I hope you can see the screen. I know last program I had failed to start my virtual, but Stephen Waddy, who is president of the Anne Arundel County, which is where Annapolis is, NAACP, said exactly, not the exact words, but the same sentiment as you just expressed. Words are empty without action. And I think this is really interesting. The NAACP actually asked that its name be pulled from a statement requesting the apology. Isn't that interesting? Like I guess they don't even view the apology as relevant. What they want is policy.
Yeah, I love that because, and shout out to Stephen Waddy too, because He's right. What is an apology without anything to go with it? Like it's just words. It's just words that don't really mean anything at all. Like, it's nice for you to say that, but I'm still dealing with the same passed down generational issues and trauma that we've been dealt with. And hooray for you for having this come to Jesus moment. And I also look at this too. When you have and this kind of goes to Marianne Williamson, oddly enough, how she used to do these kind of retreats and bring white people and black people together to talk about slavery and racism and all that. In my mind, that's always been more for white people to make them feel better, given what's happened and their ancestors and all that. As black people, that doesn't make me feel better to make white people feel like, oh wow, I really understand it now. Great for you. I'm glad you finally came to the dinner table. We've all been here. We've been waiting. What do we actually get for it? What are the repair? As he says, what are the meaningful progress towards reparations? If not, it's just nothing.
Yeah, well, he does. There is in this article of the Post where Pittman has said he is open to considering reparation plans. So we can get into that. But
I always love that part.
Let me say some things that may be a little controversial here.
What?
I don't know quite. I mean, who are you apologizing to? We don't have slaves today. We don't have enslaved people. And Pittman isn't enslaving people or hasn't in his lifetime. So it's not like he did something. Here's the kind of apology I would be much more open to. Mm-hmm. I want to apologize to all the Marylanders who are living in poverty right now, a disproportionate number of whom are African American as a result of enslavement. So I want to apologize for the fact that we haven't taken the steps in our lifetime to eliminate poverty or to greatly reduce poverty. I apologize for the fact that we haven't taken the steps in my lifetime, especially because I have a lot of power as a county executive, to address the continuing negative impacts on people's lives of slavery. I apologize for the fact that the school system doesn't educate our kids. And those that apologize for what right now is happening and the people who are being harmed by bad policies, and then say, and I pledge to use my power, my influence to redress the harms that are being visited on people in my state today. That's what I want to hear.
I like that. I do like that. I think that I can't really find fault with what you said. I mean, there's a part of me in the back of my mind that's like, all right, cool. Like, if it's about the descendants of slavery, keep it to that. But you're right. It has had other effects to it too. And I mean, also, I think the way we talk about slavery may need to change to a bit too, because you have black people who necessarily their ancestors weren't here all the way back since slavery, that they're still dealing with a lot of the repercussions of slavery just because of how systemic it was. But I also think my issue is that when people talk about slavery and stuff, they kind of start and stop the conversation at slavery. Talk about the redlining, talk about the eminent domain that happens within counties, talk about the environmental racism and all that. Like talk about how it has impacted the system, not just in one specific topic.
Well, my understanding, and this is related to what you're saying, is that the counties in the Deep South, Mississippi, Alabama, that were most violent, where they had the most episodes of lynching, the most murders of black people that were never, just addressed. There was no action taken in the 1910s, 20s, 30s when this was going on at its height, 1890s. Those counties are still incredibly violent. Those counties still suffer from a disproportionate amount of poverty, but also, black on black crime, white on black crime, black on white crime. So the violence has continued that in those areas. So again, that is the kind of ongoing impact we can see from terrible policies, whether slavery or extrajudicial murder allowed by the state. So yes, this is where we need to address it.
Yeah, look at Annapolis, where you had slave ships coming in, you also have horrific disparities too, where you have some people who go there view Annapolis as this wonderful vacation spot right by the water, all that, and for other people's it is areas of violence. It is areas of deep poverty. So address some of those problems too. But even to your even to this picture that you put up here, I don't agree with what Stuart Pittman, or if that is what black leaders are saying, I don't agree with that. Of like, oh, they're asking him to stay out of it. To me, that sounds like, oh, basically, you all are absolving me of having to do anything about it. What do you mean stay out of it? You're the government. Put together a task force with those same black leaders with some government backing to do what the reparations commission that Wes Moore vetoed would do, to come up with, here are actual policies. Here's what us as the government we will do to rectify the situation.
I agree 100%. I don't think it should be on the black leaders alone to just come up with some plan which either Pittman agrees or doesn't agree and go back. No, let's all get in a room together and we can have leaders, not just from the black community, not just from American descendants of enslaved people, but other communities where there may be poverty or where there isn't poverty, and talk about the best way to address this. By the way, I read this paragraph. I don't know what you think about this, but I read this. Anne Arundel County is exploring the possibility of creating a local reparations program. Pittman said he's committed to reviewing reparations proposals, but black leaders have asked him to stay out of it. Now, I highlighted that because if they did say that, like you, I have an issue. I don't agree with that.
And who are
that position? But at the same time, did they really say it? I don't know. Yeah. It sounds like a good excuse, doesn't it? Right. Oh, I can't get. I'm going to let them make the call.
My black next door neighbors, they said, I don't think you should really deal with that. Well, they're leaders to me. Like, I hate it when people always say like, oh, these leaders. Give me names. Give me names of the people who you were saying didn't say that, so we as community can go talk to them and be like, hey, what's going on? Why are you saying this?
Right, or because also I don't trust those leaders. I don't trust any leaders. Are those leaders, just like you said, are they going to the black churches and having like meetings that are totally open where we're having conversations? Because otherwise, whatever is hashed out in some back room is going to piss people off, and there's going to be a sense it isn't what the community. Some people are happy, some won't. That's not democratic, but who knows? We don't know because we're just going by what Pittman said.
Yeah, and then to me, whenever you say like black leaders, that denies any accountability towards them too, because everyone who we all see as leaders aren't leaders. A lot of times you can go to the black church; those are a different type of leaders than the ones who may work in low income neighborhoods. Those are two totally separate leaders who have different constituencies, different people that they talk to. And to be honest, depending on who that leader is, I trust more of people working in the low income neighborhoods than I do the preachers and stuff, because a lot of them are entangled with these politicians. So it's kind of like, what are you doing? Like, who are you really serving at this point?
Well, they're elite. They're within their community. They're elites, and they have privileges that others don't have. And we see that every group. There's conflicts between some leadership and the people who are within that organization, who are within the identity group. It's always a problem. There is a leader mentioned, by the way, in that article. We talked about him, Stephen Waddy, but we don't know that he's one of those leaders. He said, I'm not even part of this. NAACP don't want to be part of this. So I would have liked a quote from him. He says, we do need reparations, which is totally cool. We need sacrifice. We need a sacrifice, which I agree. Look, Pittman's a wealthy family. They benefited from enslaving people, obviously, and the benefits continue to the present day. So yeah, tax him, wealthy people, make sure that those unfair advantages are paid back. But we don't know that Waddy is part of this conversation.
No, you're right. And where are the corporations that have benefited through that within the county? Where are the some of that same land that was taken away from black people? Where's the money given back to the community because of this? words are cute for a nice press statement. They're cute to make you look nice, but they don't really do anything. And that always brings up for me, whenever people have these like statements that don't really mean anything at all, is why are you doing this? Like, is it in your best interest? For what purpose? Are you trying to run for a higher office? Do you want to get a job somewhere? Do you want to do X, Y, and Z? What is it? Because even in that second quote that you showed, where he was saying that, oh, I am open to considering the conversation to possibly do it. Like, that's a roundabout way to say I don't want to do this. I don't. And I just wanted to give you an apology and have y'all go about your way.
Let's move on. Nothing more to see here. Right. Well, it feels like that. And I just want to make very concrete, because you said something about corporations. So what jumped into my mind, corporations, these factory poultry farms on the Eastern Shore, where the working conditions are awful. The animals are kept in these tiny little enclosures. It's terrible for them. I can't believe it's healthy for people. They have to use all manner of disinfectant and stuff on the fowls so that you don't get sick from the animals that have been wallowing around in their own manure. It's awful working conditions. And I don't know the makeup of the people who work in those slaughterhouses, but I wouldn't be surprised. I would assume there's a decent number of descendants of enslaved people who work in those places. And the profits that Purdue and the other chicken factory farm owners make are in part because of this terrible, unfair, structural injustice called structural racism. I don't love that term, but in this case, it's appropriate. They're benefiting from it right now. They should be paying the price for those benefits.
You're absolutely right. I mean, look at, and also now, because from what I actually learned about that is that they've switched. I'm sure when they started out, you had a high number of like slaves, but also descendants of slavery. But now they are switching more over to immigrant labor and hiring a lot of Haitians, and actually treating them in horrific treatment there as well. But one last thing to this point is that I also want this to be a awakening moment for the Black community, who kind of follows these politicians and say, we need to start demanding more. We can't just go for, well, that's a nice apology, he did that. And you can't ask for too much. It's only one thing at a time. No, we need to start going in. We're asking for everything, because we are way past being owed this stuff at this point. Your apology, that would have been nice 100 years ago. We're past that point now. Now it's time for actual action.
You want to demand more, and you don't like empty words. All right, let's move to our governor, who is African American. So his committee, talk about empty words. I think this is the ultimate empty words. His leave no one behind. What the hell does that? I mean, I know what I think of when I'm thinking leave no one behind, but what are your policies? When have you ever fought to leave no one behind, Governor Moore?
You know what that reminds me of? Him saying that? Obama. It reminds me of it reminds me of Bush with this no child
left behind. That's right. But didn't Obama have something like that too? I thought he did.
So, maybe.
Now, maybe I'm wrong about that. I thought he had some. Well, he had hope and change.
Yeah.
But I thought there was something else. But yeah, no child left behind. Right. Exactly. So I mean, who does he think he's fooling? Because I don't think he is fooling people. I really don't. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I don't think so either. I think this is just, and they talk about this, how this is something that every governor in their going on their second term tries to do, and takes out other people who they find to be like horrific, or not horrific, but they find to be obstacles to them. I mean, honestly, Westmore already started doing this when he came out against Chrissy Holt, who was running to be appointed to Shanika Henson's former delegate seat earlier this year.
Yeah. And she would have fought to leave no one behind, because she's an outspoken advocate of Medicare for all, healthy Maryland, which, by the way, leaves no one behind. It says everyone gets health care. That's leaving no one behind. And he put his thumb on the scale to make sure she didn't get it.
Yeah. And then there is, so the article actually doesn't get into it, but I've been having conversations and trying to do a podcast about this with some other people, and they're saying that there is a list of growing people that Westmore is coming after. He's coming after the influential people when it comes to reparations. He's getting rid of, like, he's going to challenge people when it comes to, I think, what else? The legal justice bills, like second look. It's like, from what I heard, he is coming after people who have been to his left, and he's trying to bring in more of these like establishment, moderate type of people. But also, as it says here, he probably wants to get people who are going to support his, what is that? Abundance theory of housing, or his like beer and wine and grocery stores, which I'm not personally a fan of myself, and probably. I'm sure now that data centers are getting more of a push against them, he probably wants to instill more like friends of data centers.
I hate beer and wine in those grocery stores. I totally oppose that. If you go to California, every CVS has like a huge liquor selection. Every Safeway has all the booze in there. I think that's terrible. You know, one of the nice things, I mean, look, alcohol is a problem for Americans. But in the district, you have small businesses that are able, you know, family-owned businesses that can compete, because the rule is that Safeway and Giant can't, Kroger, whatever, in Virginia, they can't sell the wine and beer even. And it's really good. It allows for, you know, some movement, some social mobility. So I totally. Also, the other problem I have with the wine and beer, Carlos, I think it makes it too easy for people who have a drinking problem to get alcohol. Maybe that's not the case, but it just seemed like when I was in California, everywhere I shopped, I'd see the vodka bottles right there, because the profit margins are high, and it made it easier for you to drink.
Yeah, Virginia too. Virginia, you go to when I was in college, you can go right into Safeway and just see beer and wine all over. Walmart, same thing, everywhere. So it is definitely a problem. I look at it from the first point that you made. It kills local businesses. It kills like local family-owned liquor stores, and then I also see it as it's another corporate takeover to make a monopoly on it. You're going to have just more Total Wines pop up, and you're going to have more of these just like chain grocery stores selling beer and wine, and that's it. We're not going to have, like, you know, your local craft made blah, 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 blah. Yeah,
I just completely disagree with the governor on this. And I have to say, I'm very cynical. Like, I'm wondering, well, who gave to his campaign?
Exactly.
To get him to take this position. He's also big on, and we put this up here, nuclear energy, which, yes, I understand the argument as well. Nuclear energy itself is fossil fuel emission free, but you require tons of fossil fuels to truck the uranium here and there. You have the waste, which never goes away. It's the wrong solution, and he's a big proponent of this. So he's trying to get rid of Democrats who actually kind of stood up to him and did the right thing.
Yeah, he's basically taking a huge axe to the left and being like, all right, cool, whatever left opposition there is, I need to just take y'all out. But the thing is, I don't know how successful he's going to be, because it was a poll put out recently where Westmore has a good approval rating, but also people don't know what he does. So it's just like, it's a charismatic type of thing. Like, they just like him for the sake of liking him. So I don't know how influential he's going to be when it comes to these counties and local races.
Well, isn't that just awful what you said? It's a charismatic. That's what we do. That's what we were saying about Zoran, right? Good looking guy. And I think there was some of that with Obama too. And I plead guilty, because he was, you know, he looks to me like a president. He acts like a president, compared to embarrassments like George W. Bush, who had trouble putting a sentence together, or Trump, who's so much wrong with Trump. But even just let's go with appearance alone. rumpled. I'm not saying all the other stuff that Trump does that isn't worse, but rumpled, overweight, clumsy, red face, his behavior,
Orange.
and total opposite of Obama.
Yeah.
So I'm proud to have this guy with his, his picture, postcard, family, right? But what the hell does that have to do with policy? It really, in the end, that shouldn't matter. What should matter is, are you passing Medicare for all? Are you going to raise wages? Are you going to bring good jobs back? Are you going to promote peace? That's what we should care about.
I mean, we're such a propagandized country that is mostly what people look for. Do you have it is people who will go and vote based on of just what they personally think about a politician. And I think this has been happening so long in as a part in the celebrification of policymakers that now people go based off of like how you look, what you talk like, if they personally like you. I mean, it's people who talked about they voted for George Bush because they could have a beer with him. People voted for Obama because they said he's just so presidential and charismatic. People who voted for Trump because they think he's funny. And I'm like, these aren't qualities of a president that I care about. I don't care if you're boring, can barely string together a proper sentence. Are you passing the bills that are good for the country? Great. Right. I'll vote for you. You could be crazy.
Well, and I think a lot of what we're talking about here is media driven, right? I mean, I think the whole idea of having a beer with George W. Bush was media driven. American voters said, I think loud and clear in 2016, hey, we'll vote for the old grumpy, crotchety grandpa if he's going to promote policies that we believe will make our lives better. So I think it's again, the media has a lot to answer for. And I mean, Wes Moore, let's say he's a good looking guy. He's young. But what's there, that's what's, I think, so frustrating. So he's a guy who's pushing for the nuclear energy project. And this is one of the issues that hurt him with the legislature, Carlos. Let me see if I can get I was struggling here with my software. I do things so different. Like, for example, I'm doing all this editing on my, you use the stuff that makes life a lot easier and comes out, works better too. And I'm doing it all like from scratch, and I'm having, it's like, what the hell is the matter with me? Why can't I just make life easy for myself?
I can't do the manual. Give me
the
automatic.
You're smart not to. You're smart. And you can focus on the content, which is more important anyway.
Yep.
All right, here it is. Sounds good. 100% clean energy goal. But then he wants to pass the nuclear energy project cost to ratepayers. That's a huge boondoggle. Oh yeah, build a facility here, build your reactor here, which could melt down or create, another Chernobyl or whatever. Oh, people say, it hasn't happened in 40 years. It's so safe. You got all this waste. You got all this nuclear waste that it's gonna be with us forever. But he's saying to the ratepayers, you got to pay for it, meaning you and me, because we pay our electric bills. And Ferguson, to his credit, said, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah. It's been great having a legislator that's more to the left of Wes Moore, but it also shows you how our governor how having a Democratic governor isn't always the best thing, because also the legislature probably would be more left than they are now if it was Hogan in office now, because they'll be like, no, we got to show how horrible the governor is, but you still have that, like, we don't want to call out the governor too much. We'll just go against him on our bills, which is great too. But I mean, even look at the data center fight where the legislature has passed tax cuts to tech companies bringing data centers on where they can have tax subsidies for like their personal property or like replacing servers and things like that. I mean, Wes Moore, he was protested by Climate Defiance at his event in Annapolis about the Landover data centers and him being a strong supporter of it. I mean, I think people are noticing Wes Moore is not a good governor. He's just a random someone who got in office by accident, in my opinion.
I'm not thrilled. One more point on Moore's policies, because that's what we focus on here at Halitics. And in the end, I'm going to say what I've been saying over and over with Carlos, without Carlos. Hey, support Andy for governor. I mean, Let's do it. So one of the other issues that goes to, and you shared the article with me, Carlos, that Moore's targeting Democrats, right, to primary who stand in his way. One of the issues for him is this reforming the blueprint for education in Maryland bill, which is the law right now. It's a long-term plan for Maryland education. I'm going to say I love everything about it. My wife is a teacher. I hear a lot about all the problems in Maryland education, no question about it. I'm going to say I love everything about it. But the changes that Moore proposes are not, in my opinion, good.
No.
So the blueprint bill that was signed avoids some of the most severe education cuts. Some of those cuts were proposed by Governor Moore. And I just want to show a couple of them, Carlos, because to me, this goes to, and also to circle everything together, reparations, addressing the people who are currently living lives that are not complete, not full, that don't have enough because of the impact, at least in part, because of the impact of slavery. So if you look at what Moore proposed, and I highlighted this, and he's mad because the legislature said no to some of his proposals. So I highlighted, proposes a decrease in funding for special education, low income and English language learners, and keeping funding for community schools at current levels. In other words, they won't rise even if the need or costs rise. That to me is reparations in reverse. You can say you're for reparation, which he, by the way, vetoed the plan, but he said he supports it. We've already done enough studies. We know what we need. Well, what more would be helpful? I mean, I'm saying we don't need to do more than this. You're saying you don't want funding for low income schools.
Yeah.
And the special ed, I'm not saying this is disproportionately a problem in the Black community, but in poorer communities, which are often disproportionately Black, the people there can't afford to provide for kids who have disabilities, emotional challenges, physical challenges. You know, wheelchair's really expensive.
Yeah.
You need medical treatment for a kid who has some kind of emotional challenge. That's really expensive. And Moore is saying, I'm not going to fund that.
No, he's saying basically let people not have a good education. We want to make sure that you're set up for non-success. I mean, I have friends who were teachers, and they're saying they have a class of almost like 40 kids where about 80% of them have IEPs. So it's like they need more support. And Wes Moore is basically like, yeah, no, let's try cutting our education. Let's try doing what Trump is doing, because this seems similar to like a Trump light of like, hey, let's just start defunding the education system.
Well, I think he's a charter school guy, right? I think maybe I'm wrong about that.
You know what? While we're talking, I'm gonna look it up real quick because I think so. I
think the attitude is you're on your own, which is great if you're a billionaire, which his clients, right? Because he's a finance guy, they're his clients. But it's not so good if you're struggling. It's really a problem. So this really rubbed me the wrong way. One other point on the education front, Carlos, I mentioned my wife's a teacher, so it's a big deal in our family. What did he say here? Moore proposed a blueprint reform plan that called for a 4-year pause in the expansion of teacher collaborative time hour, which is to give teachers more time to plan for classrooms. My wife said that's a huge thing right now because there's a shortage of teachers. Teachers are just constantly in the classroom. They never get a chance to plan their lessons. And some might say, well, that's what we want them to do, to teach. But you need to plan. You need to know what you're going to teach and not just be looking at your plan book, going down it line by line, or you can't be an effective teacher.
No, you're right. It's horrible, but I mean, this just goes in part of what Wes Moore has been kind of is a corporate style Democratic candidate or Democratic governor. There's nothing really there, and I mean, yeah. You look at his stance on education, reparations, any of his stances, it's all like he's just setting himself up to be like that moderate centrist presidential candidate. And there's nothing special about him. He's non-threatening. He's non-threatening, which is not what Americans want. All right, real quick, I was hoping we'd talk more about this. We did discuss this Friday. This is involving Chiosei, the Brooklyn. By the way, I was very proud of myself for saying his name right. I've heard it said it is Chiosei. Yep. Or Chiosei. He is
That's two names. Chia's first name, Osei his last. And he did not get the DSA New York branch's endorsement to run against Hakeem Jeffries. Now on life support, obviously both AOC and Mamdani said don't run. Do you think they should have endorsed him? Do you have a thought on that, Carlos?
We talked about this offline, but I'm kind of more on your side of like not necessarily just because I don't know. Is he the most progressive candidate? Was there another one? But he's a Democratic Socialist. He is a part of DSA. I heard he didn't join it until recently, so people are thinking it could have been just to get their support. But I look at it and say, I hope DSA does endorse someone. It doesn't just look at this as do what Zorhan says and like, no, let's stay out of it. You go, Hakeem Jeffries. We support you being a horrible minority leader, probably in the store, and being a horrible speaker at the same time. It's stupid. Exactly.
So I'm fine with them. Their statement is he isn't that much of a socialist. He did kind of jump on he was a member for back at 21, then he left, then he comes back. It looks like he's seeking our endorsement. We don't think his record is that great. But we want someone to endorse. We're looking around to find somebody to primary this terrible Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries. And I would like them to say, and part of their argument is, well, look, we have limited resources. We need to spend it in the right places. I get that. They are saying we think we have better chances to beat, I can't remember the guy's name, Goldman, right? There's a guy named Goldman, Dan Goldman, who's he's a Zionist, just like Jeffries, but we think we can beat Dan Goldman. We're not so sure we can beat Jeffries. I get it. Fine. But you could even issue a statement that says, hey, we're going to endorse a challenger to Jeffries, but we're not going to spend as much unless we see the likelihood that our candidate here will win. We're going to spend our money and our energy elsewhere. I think that's fine. You can endorse someone and say we don't have all the time and money to give to them, but we want them to win. That's okay. You're shaking your head. You don't like that. You think if you endorse someone, you go all in.
I think, well, not even that. I think that it's hard for me to hear that argument from DSA to be like, hey, we just don't see him winning, because no one thought AOC was going to win when she ran against Joe Crowley. Like, you ran against the number 2 in the House and you all endorsed her. It was a whole campaign behind her to get rid of her. And you can say Joe Crowley wasn't even as publicly unpopular as Hakeem Jeffries is now. So to me, you have a better chance of beating Hakeem Jeffries now and just capitalizing on most of that, the anger towards him from within the party and building DSA up. But I also have to say, and also I don't want to talk about DSA as like a horrible thing, because I think they are great at doing boots on the ground, especially their like campaigns for like union fights and all that. They are on the ground totally. They are like one of the best leftist groups for that. I think when it comes to politics, sometimes they are seen as a kind of a progressive version of the Democratic Party. I mean, similar to Working Families Party.
They're sheepdogs.
Yeah, they are.
They're sheepdogs. I'm just making the point. You don't want to endorse Chiosei, don't endorse him. I think some of the arguments not to endorse him were pretty darn good. They apparently supported a pretty centrist Dem in a primary who was not for rent control and was was getting funded by developers, and Osei supported her, I think, in 22 or 24. I get that. Fine. Don't endorse him. But then again, issue a statement that says we are hoping to find a better candidate to support against Leader Jeffries. And even if you come out in the end and you say, well, we don't really have the resources to support this candidate, we'll endorse them, but we're going to spend our time, energy, and money elsewhere. I'm okay with that too. That's fine. But you should be challenging Jeffries. That's why I have such a huge problem with AOC and Mamdani. If they don't like Osei, okay, fine. You don't have to. But don't say this isn't the right time. It's the right time. It is a good idea. And you could say we're not going to endorse him because we have issues with him, or we'll wait. We want to see who else is going to challenge the leader. We want to hear more from Osei. That's all well and good. But to say now is not the time is stupid. That is such a throwing cold water on what we're hoping would be a wildfire that's going to spread and really make changes.
It is Zorhan closing the door behind him too, being like, no, we're not letting anyone else in. But also, this is what I hate from the kind of quote unquote, or not quote unquote, corporatized media, is there's no follow up. When they're saying it's not a good idea and it's not the time, no one questions back and says, well, why? Why is this not a good idea? Yeah. And why is it not the right time? Well, when is the right time to do it?
Yes. That's a great point. I totally agree with that. Listen, we're going to have to call it a show. I got a 1:10 meeting. I got to meet. I got to do this dog trainer. We're having problems with little Dolly there. So got to work with Joyce, who's the dog trainer, to hopefully get Dolly on the same page. We are hoping for, I'm not a big prayer, but I am hoping for a stress-free holiday. Carlos, you get last word. Anything you want to quickly throw into the mix before we drop off?
Have fun during Thanksgiving. Remember, the fight doesn't stop. I will also say, if you ever do have time, since the General Assembly session is coming up here in Maryland, please fight to get strikers' rights for all of the unionized Maryland state workers, because currently they do not have it. Yeah. That's it. Also, you can find the Left-Handed Leftist podcast on any platform possible.
And the link to it, the YouTube channel, is in today's show description. So you will find Left-Handed Leftist there if you click on that link. I will be back tomorrow for the final pre-Thanksgiving program. And then next Monday, hopefully we'll have Carlos again back Mondays. Have a great